Hey, everyone. Welcome to the latest podcast episode. This is your host, Terry Knight, and I got a treat for you today. We're both local. He's in the Fort Lauderdale area. I'm down in Miami. But I got Alon here, and this man manages, glad to have you on, man. I love his background. He manages over 500 properties, I think more since we talked. Has a rental investment company helping out investors. And we align in a lot of different and same ways in the same industry. So just look forward to connecting with you, man, and learning what you're doing and seeing how
I love
people can
being
help.
on the show, and I love the fact that we're both local, so we actually can relate to some topics that people outside of the state don't really know necessarily. So
Exactly.
they're like, finally someone who can relate.
Exactly. So first and foremost, man, let people know who you are and we'll go from there, man.
Awesome. So my name is Alon Orbach. I moved here 20 years ago from Israel. I went to school here. I studied economics. After I finished school, I started right away to work as a property manager. I managed about 300 units, give or take, when I just finished school. And from there, I'm doing everything. Like a quick recap, I moved to LA. I opened a few coffee shops there, and then I sold it. I moved back here and I got back into real estate. I got back into doing again property management, but this time I also was doing the buying part, representing the direct investors, and do everything included, meaning the renovations, construction, whatever is needed. And after a while, we offered investors about 8% return, which back then was a solid return on the money. And we could find a property probably one every 2 weeks, give or take. So it
Yeah.
was a great time to be in real estate. And we saw that the prices start going up. The rentals didn't go up as much, and we couldn't get those 8% returns anymore. So then I started looking into what can be the next thing in Florida that still investors can make good returns. And that's how we got into the Airbnb segment, short term rentals. That was about 7, 8 years ago, give or take. So it was still early stages in Florida, and it was a fun time back then.
Fun time back then indeed, man. Now it's a little different, obviously.
It was
Market's
a lot
shifting.
different, back then. I know you do arbitrage. Back then, nobody done arbitrage at the very beginning, and there was no laws from the cities against Airbnb. Neighbors didn't complain yet. Nobody knew how to eat it up in a way, and the returns were extremely high. You're
Yeah,
talking
exactly.
about 15 to 20% return, and whatever you buy worked pretty much. I mean, we didn't buy everything, but it was very easy to find a
Right.
house that will work for Airbnb, and man, things changed.
Yeah, even after COVID, man, things changed. We had that big high pocket where people were traveling like crazy, right? Because we're all like stuck inside and wanting to get the heck out. And we
You know,
saw a
d
big
during
surge.
during COVID, it was funny. We have a we just I just sold it actually. We had a house in Seabreeze, so Fort Lauderdale Beach, right
Yeah,
where
yeah.
the beach starts. We had a really nice house, literally like the walking distance from the big parking lot in Fort Lauderdale Beach. And there was another house, like two houses from it, that we were under contract, and it was already after due diligence. So we were hard on the money. It was a cash deal, about, if I remember correctly, like 1.4 million, give or take, the house was the cost. And literally, like a week after due diligence, COVID started. And we're like, what the hell are we going to do now? Because obviously looking backward, like everything went up since COVID, right? It went like
Right.
insane. But when COVID just hit, everybody thought the market would crush. So we were really scared that we're gonna end up buying a house in 2 weeks, and literally a day after, it's gonna be worth like $400,000 less, give or take. We were really nervous about it. We end up getting out of the deal. We found a loophole. There was something about the electricity. We
Wow.
found a way to get out of it, and it's funny how looking backward, we were like, "Oh, we should have bought that house," because now it's very hard to find there. So a lot of things, COVID definitely made a big impact about everything here.
Yeah, definitely. And even in the short-term rental space, because everyone was down, everyone was locked down. So we hit that surge, and that's when everything kind of, people started getting in, try to do short-term rentals, add some photos, made their quick buck money. and then things kind of leveled out after COVID,
When
2024.
COVID started, you already did Airbnb?
Before. But I was saying like other people, like people
Oh, you
saw
did?
like,
Okay, so
hey,
you also did before.
yeah, yeah, definitely before, and it was consistent. It was good. I mean, it's just a lot of different now. You got to have a very strategic approach to it, I think, and I think you have that all like lined up and mapped out, and you have a great way of kind of handling like all your properties and how you're
Yeah.
managing and all that stuff.
I don't know if you experienced that when COVID started. So, in order for us, we had a lot of houses back then in East Hollywood. And
Okay,
for us to keep managing them, so the state made a law that you have to have a 24/7 security on the houses. I don't know if you remember that.
I
You couldn't
don't.
rent. It was a very specific time for like a few months. You couldn't rent.
Yeah, you
Everybody
couldn't
were
rent.
in a lockdown.
Yeah,
So they
exactly.
let you rent if you have 24/7 security. So we start adding security to all the houses, and we found out that it's actually a great add-on to a management company. And after COVID, that everything was back to normal, we kept the security. So
Oh,
it's funny
nice.
how COVID
Worked
was the
out.
one who pushed us to do so.
Yeah, it worked out, and that's pretty cool, man. Alon, I want to find out from you. 'Cause you say you went to LA, you bought some coffee shops. Like, how many did you buy
We
back
had
there?
about eight.
You had 8 coffee shops?
Yeah.
Damn. Oh, okay, look at you. Was it like a franchise? Was it just a brand you created
No,
and kind of branched
it
out?
was like an internet cafe, and each has a different name. It was a different time.
Wow.
I feel like every time you need to find, the best niche for the period, things change. I don't think people can be successful in internet cafe today, for example.
Things change. I do agree with you, and you kind of pivot. That's what you did, right? You sold all 8 from LA, moved back over here. How long did it take you to kind of start over? Because you sold out coffee shops,
Right.
8 of them, came back to Florida. How long did it take you to start getting things going, and what was your first deal?
So I actually was really debating if I want to move back or I want to stay there. I had another idea in mind after those specific coffee shops to open a coffee shop that is kind of similar to a dollar store, but for coffee and like like food, but very like the smaller portions and stuff like that, and everything for $1. There is a similar concept to it in Israel that someone did, and it grew all over. Again, that was years ago, and nobody until today, nobody have done that here. The thing is, for a dollar store kind of thing for a coffee, if you want to make it like good coffee, stuff like that, you need to have so much traffic, which I believe it will have. But I was really debating if I want to open it over there. My partner when I came back, I already had someone that we worked together, and we actually were in the army before. So we were
Nice.
pretty close friends. And when I moved back, I knew that I'm gonna be with him. So I already had like the plan in mind. And again, things always change. So, like you said, to pivot, you always need to know, you need to be open minded. I mean, I'm not for jumping from one thing to the other, but you also need to understand sometimes when you reach kind of like a peak and to move on.
Of course, 100%. I totally agree. All right, so you had someone, a good friend, so that's always a plus. What was your first objective when you got back? Like, did you guys land a few deals, a couple? Like, what was
Well,
your plan?
to go back was for me really hard. Honestly, I wasn't happy. I had a pretty good life in LA, and I did pretty well, and I it was very hard like to go back. Like I don't want to say I felt defeated, but like I really liked LA, and to go back after a couple years, it was kind of, I still didn't have like my own place when I got back right away. So I actually, yeah, he had a pretty big house. So I stayed with him for a bit, and it kind of like I felt like I'm 20 again.
Like a roommate, basically.
Yeah, I felt like a roommate until I found my own place, and then I actually I was supposed to move to a pretty nice house, and like I already moved some stuff there, and then that house got flooded. So then everything again threw me back, and it was a kind of like a rough time a bit. But when we start working, so he already had the business going. It's not like we started it from scratch. I kind of
Okay.
joined to him to expand the business. So
Okay.
it was easier in that way. We already had like list of investors. He knew what he was doing in that field. Like to me, it was still like new in a way. I managed properties before, but I didn't really do the real estate side of things, like the purchasing, selling, getting tenants. I did, but the renovation, when I managed properties, so it was like when I managed like 300 units, it was mostly painting them, changing a carpet, fixing
Little
appliances, stuff
stuff.
like that. It wasn't like to buy now, let's say a townhouse and then do like $50,000 renovation. And then it was a different process, which I really enjoyed back then. But like I said, the time, everything is very dynamic in Florida. It changes so quickly, so you have to adjust. In order to adjust ahead of the curve, it's very difficult.
Yeah, hands down. I agree. All
Yeah.
right. So you guys had investors, the business is already booming and starting. You guys, I guess, how many properties were you managing at that time?
I believe it was around 60, give or take, but more like townhouses and single families. It wasn't like apartments
Okay.
so much. I think it was around that something, but then in when you manage like let's say 60, 70, so you're focusing also more on like renovation, construction. We did some flips as a part of the business, so we were having full time work. Actually, my partner in that, he grew to a different area. Now he owns multiple buildings, pretty
Wow.
large buildings. He's doing very well. And he still manage all the. I left that like so. He's still managing also like the unit stuff like that, so he's doing very well. We actually partner again, and I'm not going to get too much into it now because it's a completely another topic. But we just purchased a hotel in Zanzibar together, so we're still doing like different stuff, different ventures.
Well, I want to talk about that then.
No, we can talk about it. I just don't want to completely like change the topic. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about that as
Gotcha.
well.
All right.
So basically I had a friend. I'm trying to kind of like think about the timeline. I had a friend that he had a technology app for finding properties. He kind of like he took the information basically from the MLS. He did some um, calculation into that, like formulas. And basically, if right now you wanted to find a house that gives you, let's say, 8% return, the the app will give you right away all the properties from the MLS that fits that criteria. So I had this friend. The reason why I'm saying it is because that friend, I end up moving to work with him on the Airbnb at the end. So so that's how it's kind of was connected. And that friend, he actually now owns a company, opened a company. It's called Boom Now, and you can Google it. It's a very fast growing tech company based on AI for Airbnb management.
Well,
And people are using it all over the world right now. I believe the company already worth about 30 million, give or take. And it's growing very fast. So
what is it called?
boom, boom
Boom?
now. Yeah.
Boom Now? Is it boomnow.com or what?
So if you so this so when we start working together, um he was kind of like more on the management side and the brokerage, but I'm the one who was actually in charge on the kind of like brokerage side.
Okay.
So we were partners on the brokerage side and he had the management company. I didn't really want to do management again. I'm not a fan of it. And I also did the construction in the company. So I did the construction side. The thing is that construction took probably 70% of my time
Yeah.
and it wasn't really worth the money. It was okay money, but it wasn't like if you really want to grow, you couldn't put all the time on doing construction. So The at the very beginning, Boom Now wasn't called Boom Now. It was also called Design VR, which is basically the brokerage side, the management. It's all like Design VR. Everything was under one umbrella. And we actually used the software in Design VR to manage all the properties. It was kind of like a test run, you can say, for a few
Yeah.
years to make sure that it's actually working very good. And then we split it into two. And now it's like it's a completely separate company, the tech company. And what kind of like, let's say, my personal benefit from it, because I'm not a part of the tech company, that's not me, because people all over the world is using Boom now and it's growing. So we gonna end up using that information to know where we can buy the best properties for investors. So let's say that there is an operator in Portugal, in Spain, in Greece, in Morocco, and you name it. We can look at the app and say, "Oh my God, that operator is doing like amazing numbers." So not only we know the best numbers, but we already have an operator, that we're doing a good job. So it's kind of like really a win-win because usually if right now I'm going to tell you, for example, let's say I'm gonna come to you and I'll say, "Hey, Terry, I have a great deal in Zanzibar. You want to buy it? The numbers are great." You're gonna tell me Zanzibar, how
Right.
to approach it, who's gonna manage it, what's gonna
Exactly.
happen. And so the thing is, with the technology, we have the operator and we know that he's solid. We know that he's working very well and stuff like that. So this is kind of like the next step. I mean, I kind of jumped ahead here.
That's
There's a
good.
lot in between, but the next step for us in a year or so, I mean, you have to look also in the long run. I think in a year or so, we're gonna start purchasing outside of United States, by the help of this technology. So that's kinda like, how everything fits into place.
Yeah, I never heard of this boomnow.com, man. I'm gonna definitely check that out. So you kind of rattled my brain and I wanted to get more topic on this one, but okay, you use boomnow.com. You can use it globally, you said, all over the world, right? Can this platform dictate numbers for hotels as well, or is it just
Yes.
really? Now, do you think using boomnow.com, and we're going to talk about the hotel you're going to jump into, because I always want a hotel, I always want to own a few and, kind of build from there, which is pretty cool. But how can I put it? Like, can you make more money outside the USA getting like a hotel or a property from boomnow.com? Like, does it make sense for
So,
investors?
specifically in Zanzibar, we're not using Boom, by the way. We do have operators we're using in South Africa, Boom now, but not in Zanzibar. So specifically about Zanzibar, I'll explain to you how I got to that. It's a little bit separate, and I will bring Boom now into Zanzibar, but again, it's a process. So basically, definitely the numbers can be better in different locations and everything is very dynamic. So if you're like a growing company and if you buy one thing, for example, so you're going to choose the best, right? Like where I make the most money. But the smart way is going to be to buy in a few different locations. So if the market is changing, so for example, Florida, Airbnb, if you had an investor who came to you and he said, "Hey, Terry, I want to buy and make a 12% return," like 4 years ago, and you give him the 12% return, but now this 12% return is making 4%. He's gonna be pissed. Now it's not your fault. You couldn't predict that the market would change in this way, and this is reality right now. Like that's what is happening in Florida. So if you are a company that has, let's say, a fund, and now you buy in Florida, and this year you're making 12%, the next year maybe you make 8, and then you also have in Portugal, and you're making at the beginning maybe 8%, then it goes up to 10%. Maybe the appreciation in United States is higher than the appreciation in Portugal. There is so much like macro management size, that goes into to place. So that's kind of like going to be the right way to do so. By the way, I have a friend now and he's very good with numbers as well. And if you're going to go to him and you're going to tell him like, oh, I want 10% on my money, he's not gonna tell you what's the he's not I mean, he's gonna tell you, but he's not gonna can you hear me? Because my camera seems off right now.
Oh yeah, I can hear you. Camera is off. Let me.
I don't know if it's me or think it's me.
Um, yeah, it says El Galdo. Is that? Are you using like a camera?
Yeah, I mean, I'm changing it to oh, it doesn't let me change the camera for some reason.
Gonna see. Where is it? I don't see the option.
Let me turn off the well, actually, because I don't know if it says I cannot switch cameras while we're recording. I don't know why it doesn't.
I mean, you can always leave
Let
and
me turn
come
the
back.
camera off and on. Probably gonna oh, okay.
Oh, there we go.
But now there is some writing here. Okay. All right. We're good.
Cool. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, awesome. So, okay, so what I was saying, so my friend, he's actually going to refer only to the IRR. So the IRR is basically when you're also bringing in the appreciation of a property. So let's say the cap rate can be 6%, but the appreciation is supposed to be whatever 20% over 5 years. So then your IRR can be, let's say, 10%. Um, Now it's all about how you're selling, right? I mean, some people they don't even look. They're gonna say, yeah, it's gonna appreciate. I'm gonna make some money, but I want to make 8% cap rate, 10%. Like I want this money to come to my pocket each year. Uh,
Mhm.
it's not really there. There isn't right or wrong, right? It's just that people need to really understand that there are different aspects into how to approach an investment, and I think that in Florida right now because it's very hard. And I just flew in a couple months ago. I flew into Texas to try to explore, maybe to buy some in Dallas or in Austin. And you see that they're pretty much going through the same stuff that Florida is, meaning, also with the insurance cost and also the fact that Airbnb is not doing as well. In Dallas right now, a lot of the management companies, they start working with midterm leases with insurance claims, for
Yeah,
example.
true.
Why? Because the Airbnb itself is not making the same income. So
Yeah,
everybody, they adjust. And so for me as well, for example, so now I'll expand maybe a bit more about Zanzibar.
yeah,
For me, the main thing, and it's probably for all people, it should be at least, is that you want to make sure you work with good people and people you can trust. And trust is it's such an important word. And a lot of times you think you trust someone, but you don't really know because when people start seeing money, things change. You can see on families that there is an inherit on the way, and then
yeah.
everybody were close for 40 years, and then they start fighting. So in Zanzibar, my best friend is there. We're friends since we were 6 years old, and he started there about 10 years ago. And when he started, story is a whole different story. It's a very unique story how he got into it. But when he started, he didn't have any experience in real estate, let alone development, hotel, nothing. But he's a guy who is just really not scared to do stuff. And honestly, I think it's nuts what he did, but he did it. And when he first started, he told me like, "Hey, in United States, because he's from Israel, a lot of investors, maybe bring investors here. Let's get a hotel and stuff like that." And I told him, "Listen, you have no experience. You just jumped into this thing. I don't know where it's gonna go, where it's gonna head. I'm not gonna risk my name to bring investors for
Yeah,
something that I don't know. It looks nice on paper, and plus it's like a third world country. What about if economy changes? There is so much variable.
everything.
So I told him, listen, but if you really believe in it, start. If it's gonna work, you're gonna kind of prove yourself, then I'll be able to get you investors. And he definitely proved himself. His hotel is number one in TripAdvisor in Zanzibar. Is a 5-star hotel, 86 units. Uh, and you can Google it. It's called the Toa Hotel, and it's a really nice hotel. And not not that I only waited for the hotel to be finished, I waited for the first year to see the return, and the return on the first year was already 20% to the investors. And
Dang. Okay.
that was for me kind of like the green light to start um, the journey. And I can tell you it's not an easy journey because a lot of people here, they just hear the word Zanzibar and they're like, "Oh, I don't want, I want things that are close to me." And I'm like,
Right.
okay. And then that person is going to buy, Bitcoin for the same amount. Like people are like, they don't want to
Bitcoin.
take a risk, but they do take risks. And the reason why I'm saying it is because I see myself as a very calculative person. I don't gamble. I take risks, but I don't just jump into things without thinking. So if you, for example, will tell me like, hey, there is in Costa Rica something that can give us 20%. Now I will start with saying, let's say I know you for a few years and I trust you. Okay. It's not just like a random thing, like someone comes to me and he's like, hey, there is 20% here.
Mhm.
But let's say I do trust you. Let's say we've done a business or two and you're going to tell me that. So I'm not going to tell you like, oh, Costa Rica is not close to here. I don't know anything. I will tell you, listen, send me the information. If the numbers are legit, let's fly there. I want to see it.
Take a look.
Yeah. So that to me is the more surprising thing that a lot of people have money. I never tell someone to invest now with me in Zanzibar without seeing it. I'm like, let's say you go through the whole presentation and let's say you look yourself online, you see actual prices, everything. If those are the numbers, and that's before appreciation, and the appreciation there is insane. So why not flying there? It's not worth it. Like I will give everything to make 20% a year. I mean, those are numbers that are kind of like life changing because when you're buying something for 6, 8% return, it's very hard to really make it a life changing investment. That to me is kind of like how I got to it. So I flew there. I saw everything in my eyes. Zanzibar itself is it's developing like crazy. Like they're just opening another, what do you call it? I'm sorry, I'm thinking like ahead. So they're opening another port, another airport, and Bill Gates has a resort there. Four Season right now, literally right now, start building there.
Wow.
Selena, that is one of the biggest European companies. They just buy whatever lots they can find on the ocean. Plus, we specifically have very good relationship with the Minister of Tourism there. His daughter works for my friend, and
Wow.
so we have very good connections. And to me, after I checked so, you need to make sure if you go to like a third world country, you need to make sure you have an answer for everything. Because people will tell you, like, okay, what if terror, attacks come or people are like the government changes, stuff like that. So, first of all, I would say I don't think Four Season and Bill Gates and stuff will buy in locations like that if they haven't done their homework.
Right.
You know, that's kind of like just a first quick thought that I have. And then you start getting all the answers. And when I had all the answers and I went there and I literally talked to the people who work there, I've seen the numbers. You go to hotels, you see how much they charge. So that to me was kind of like, okay, let's do it. So I bought with partners, a 46 unit hotel on the ocean,
Wow.
and we bought an existing hotel, but we're renovating it now extensively. Like we just started the renovation actually a week ago,
Okay.
and we are making it. It's a very prime location. In the future, we can do redevelopment there, so we can actually add from. I don't know the exact numbers because we didn't do the planning for the redevelopment, but we can still add more units to it. So the numbers there should be about the 20% also. And I get deals all the time. I have now on the beach a 7 units hotel for 500,000 that is already working and making 20%. So someone can put, let's say, 500,000, start making 20%. Um, and the lender, for example, we have I mean, I'm working on it, so it's not ours, but 12 and a half acres for $800,000, which is about $65 a square, and
Mhm.
it's on the ocean as well. Just to give you an idea, price per square foot can go about 120. So if you just buy it, you hold it with you, everything that you see. I mean, you don't even need to do any development. Just hold it and sell it in like a year or two. And again, I'm not telling people that I meet like, oh, just give me, whatever, $400,000. Trust me, because I know how it sounds when someone tell me like, let's buy a land in a third world country. It doesn't sound exciting. It sounds risky.
Yeah.
But when you go there and you see it, you understand whether it's a prime. It's very easy to Zanzibar is a small island, so it's very easy to see if it's a prime location or not. You know it
Gotcha.
within a day. If you drive around the island one day, you know everything. So you see, like, if next to you there is, for example, again, let's say a four-season building next to you, you know this land will be worth a lot of money. And I'm not even talking about appreciation. I'm talking about like current numbers, what people are end up spending. So for me, and I'm not a one to put all my eggs in one place. It's
Basket.
not like every dollar I make, I'm gonna throw into Zanzibar. But I do think that for some people, this is definitely helping. Moving up the ladder because some people don't have the first million yet and they can put like 100 or $200,000 in an investment that can really get you a long way because in a year or two, let's say you're buying into an existing hotel. So the hotel that we bought, it should be worth once it's going to be finished. We're doing a
Alrighty.
heavy construction. So when everything is finished and when it's stabilized and everything, if the numbers really work well, we should double the money just on that. And that's without the 20% give or take that we should make along the years. So you're talking about I don't want to get into now IRR stuff like that. But in let's say 5 years, you're supposed to make roughly 200% on your money, give or take. And that's how I feel like you can move up. And then if you start and you see that something is, let's say right now someone has $1 million and he said, I don't know, it's still far, but it's exciting. Let me put 100K.
Right.
You put 100K, you see that the hotel is making the return. And then you say, okay, now I want to put 200. I'm not saying to put the whole 1 million because again, you need to
See
have,
it.
yeah, but then you know that it's working, and I think that $100 is definitely worth the risk because let's say that the analysis was wrong. Let's say it didn't do 20%. Let's say it was 50% worth. He ended up making 10%, which is not great.
Mhm.
I mean, nobody will go to a third world country for 10%, but you're still making 10%,
Right.
which is something probably you wouldn't do in a regular investment in United States right now. Or maybe you will, but 10% will be a very good investment here. So over there, 10%, let's say, is not great at all,
Mhm.
but you're still making it. I don't see how you're going to lose money. And again, it's after you're going to do your homework. That's how I got into it. I'm never a person who say no, but again, I'm not also jumping. So for example, now in Guatemala, I know a lady that she's actually building in Lake Atitlir, which is one of the better lakes there for tourism. She's also buying land. She's building kind of like wood cabins for Airbnb.
Okay.
Return also about 20%, give or take.
Hmm. That's good.
Um, and Guatemala is nearby. Like it's not, it's a much quicker flight.
Right.
So I'm not saying no to it, but obviously I want to focus first on one thing, make sure that like it's complete, that I don't need to spend so much time and effort into that. Then I can move into the next thing. So I'm not going to jump from one thing to the other,
Exactly.
but I keep my relationship open. I keep in touch with them. I follow up. I make sure that everything is working well. A person can show you pictures of construction
Mhm.
and then someone who invests money there a year after can say, but there were so many delays and the cost went higher. And So it's very easy to sell a dream, right? It's very easy to sell like numbers, and I think transparency is the key by far. You have to make sure that you're transparent with your clients and truthful, and also to know your stuff. And and it's okay to try stuff and have a trial and error, but you need to also tell them, like, whether you have the experience or not, which is still okay. And so that's kind of like what I'm doing now.
That's
So
really
focusing on that side as well, and hopefully just to have the different options for people who talk to me,
cool, man.
that want to invest. And
Yeah,
maybe
no, I love it, man. All that
and we
sounds
can
very
partner out. So think about, like, for example, let's say you have clients, right? Whether it's your own money or you have clients. So then people have the relationship with other investors. Then you come in and it's not just the 20%. Then you come in as the entrepreneur. Then you're making like extra commissions, stuff like that. And that's how you can really, I think, go up pretty fast, up the ladder if you have the connections. So one thing is to have the connections, but then to know what to do with it. If you have now a pile of investors that, let's say, altogether is $1 million, so you're like, okay, what's the best thing to do with that $1 million? There are a lot of different options.
cool. And that's my next thing for any investors out there. Like, Alon, like, how can people reach out to you to learn more about stuff you're working on? How you can help them, all that stuff in between, man.
So Design VR is the name of the company. I think if people will just Google Design VR Realty, they will find us on Instagram. My name, Alon Orbach. So if people will just find, look for it on Instagram, Orbach Realty, like my last name, Realty, it's gonna pop up as well. Easy to find me. I'm not hiding.
I'll have the links below. But you can definitely have conversations with people that want to invest in real estate, and I mean, your whole
And
goal is to help them.
I'll tell you one more thing, because I'm also like a broker, right? So I'm selling homes as well, and a
Okay.
lot of people came to me and they ask me to sell their house, and I'm actually telling them no, and that they should wait, because first of all, it can hurt me as well. So if I'm right now going to list a house in Florida, it's very hard to sell at the moment. If you have an apartment, you're not going to sell. That's the fact. So I'm not saying I'm not going to list it, but first of all, I'm going to tell you, okay, it's better to wait. You don't want to wait. You want to try. Great, but I will for sure do it, and I'll do whatever I can to sell it. But people need to take into consideration that. So that's like kind of like another thing that I'm just throwing in a thought there, that it's not that easy to sell, and you're really depending on the market, and you need to know how to play around it to make sure that you're not also losing money when the house is not selling and stuff like that. So yeah, there is a lot of information out there.
100%, man. Alon, I believe it looks like you're married, right? You're married.
Yeah,
See
I'm
a ring
married.
there. Do you have
Yeah.
any kids?
No, no kids yet.
No kids? Do you want kids, or are you
Yes,
just chilling?
I'll be happy to give each
Well,
kid a hotel.
hey, man, that'll be cool when you do have kids, because man, you're so successful. You're building out this whole empire thing. Loving what you're doing. What do you want to pass on to your kids, man, when you have them, and what do you want to instill in them so that they can, take what you teach them and apply it to their lives and their kids?
And because every time someone asks me this question, the answer changes based on what I think in the moment. And when you just ask me that, like right now,
Uh huh.
I had a conversation that just popped into my head. So when I just started doing property management,
Uh huh.
and I've done my best, but obviously you always have a lot of mistakes, especially at the beginning.
Right.
There was a kind of like a scary Russian guy that worked there as he managed all the kind of like workers for the construction, and
Uh huh.
and making the units ready. And I don't remember what it was, but there was some mistake that I made, and he came to me and he's like, "You think people will keep you here because you're nice?" um, and you know what? That thing really like came into, like, I was thinking about it. You know what? First of all, you do need to be nice. Now, nice doesn't mean, just friendly to everybody. But I do think that, if I want to pass something along, so it's definitely to be kind to people, and at the same time don't let people take advantage of you. So know your worth, but always be kind to other people. And when you want to grow, try and think how everybody can grow together and not just yourself. So if you're starting with someone, if you come to work to someone, don't just think how you're going to make the profit and then that person is just helping you to get there. But, it's all about the journey to grow together. And if I want to pass them something, it's definitely to really be kind and don't let people, take advantage of you, but also know your worth and be assertive about the things that you want, believe in yourself, and just don't give up, because there are a lot of times in life that we can give up very easily. Um, and do sports.
Do sports.
That's like definitely helping the mind, So that's
Exactly.
something for sure I'll pass along.
I love it, man. I love it. Alon, what keeps you going every day when you want to give up, man? 'Cause that's the one question I always want to ask each guest before we end.
Man, it's the same thing. Like, I always knew, and it doesn't matter how old I was, that I'm gonna be successful. And in my mind, I'm not successful yet. Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing to think like that, but I remember when 15 years ago, I had a lot of friends that were just starting their way and they started very well. Like they started to do well. And they are like, man, when I'll do like I mean, back then, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, I wouldn't have a drive anymore. Like what would be my drive in life and stuff like that. And I told everybody they're full of shit. Like when you're gonna get to that 1 million, I'm telling you, you're gonna want two, and when you're gonna get to two, you're gonna want three and four, and you're not gonna be settled at like, okay, that's it, I'm good, I can retire right now. Now, some
Hmm.
people are, they want to have some money and retire,
Right.
but the drive, I think if I personally would not have the drive to be successful, then I will have way more points in life that I will want to just give up, because I lost money too. Everybody's, lost money in their life. Everybody had, you cannot always have a good investment. A lot of people, when they even make not a fortune, but like they made some money, then they're losing it in a bad investment and they go back like 10 steps, but you need to start again. But you already have the tools. So if you have the tools, believe in yourself and just like be hungry.
Be hungry. I like it, man. I love it. Well, guys, you heard it first. Alon here. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I'll
Man,
have
it was a pleasure.
all the links below. Definitely reach out because he looks like he's got a lot going on that people can invest in and really take advantage and learn from, man. So yeah, man. And until the next episode, peace out, everyone.